What's good everyone, my name is Chefkoch and today I want to talk about one of the most talented rappers of the 2020s who delivers both quality as well as quantity, Boldy James.
Where I ran that guapa, niggas think I'm scamming.
Boldy James was born in Atlanta, but when he was still a baby, his family moved to Detroit after Boldy's father was wounded in the line of duty as a police officer. His upbringing was very rough, his parents separated and James would move to the east side of the city to live with his father. Fortunately, Boldy's love for music came to the forefront at the age of 12, when he performed at a middle school talent show and began writing his first raps shortly after. He got his moniker from a close friend who everybody called Boldy James. Sadly, that friend passed away a few years after James started rapping, but that's the reason he decided to keep that name forever, since it now held great sentimental value to him. When he started rapping in the early 2000s, his inspirations mostly included golden era artists like Biggie, Jay-Z and Nas. And back then, rap was more of a hobby for Boldy while he made the real money selling drugs in Detroit. But he got great receptions for his early music, so he decided to take it seriously. After dropping a couple of tapes, Boldy made an appearance on Jay Dilla's Rebirth of Detroit in 2012. So that gave him quite some exposure, and then James released his debut album My First Chemistry Set in 2013, which was executively produced by The Alchemist and marked the beginning of a close friendship and partnership between both artists. Boldy actually got connected to Al through his little cousin, the producer Chuck English, and next to that, James is related to Snoop Dogg, so music for sure runs deep in the family. After releasing My First Chemistry Set, Boldy James got a co-sign from Nas, and he would become the first artist to sign with Nas's label Mass Appeal in 2014. Sadly, the label was not able to promote Boldy and his music enough, so he left Mass Appeal not long after and focused on an independent career with releases like The Art of Rock Climbing from 2017. The independent path James chose would turn out to be very bumpy at first, and he got in trouble with the law a couple of times, but after getting out of jail in late 2019, Boldy James decided to make a drastic change and leave the street life behind him. So he took a plane to California, logged in with The Alchemist and recorded the album The Price of Tea in China, which came out in February 2020. This record would change Boldy's life. It received a great reception online and introduced many rap listeners to Boldy James, and my favorite song on here has to be Grey October.
Keep it funky with my focus, hunting with my poachers, slumping with the vultures.
Another important change for Boldy at the time was that he signed with Griselda in 2020. With Westside Gunn, Benny the Butcher and Conway the Machine, James now for sure was in good hands and had a lot of like-minded musicians around him. Many great projects would be created during that time, for example Manger on McNichols from July 2020, which is a more experimental record executively produced by Sterling Tolles, with some of Boldy's most revealing and personal lyrics to this day. This album served as a soundtrack to current day Detroit, a city that once stood for economic prosperity and the future of the automobile industry, but now only remains a shell of its past achievements and suffers from hopelessness, criminality and poverty. And the album Manger on McNichols tells us tales of this collapsing city, with Boldy James as the narrator of this dark and violent but very authentic experience. Moving on, I also want to mention The Alchemist produced records Bo Jackson, as well as Super Tecmo Bo from 2021. Both are great albums, Al's beats really bring out the best in Boldy, and the two for sure form a dynamic duo, and my favorite song on here has to be Brick Mile to Montana.
36 of that OD, get back 800 clip in the road, be slid in that OD, niggas is OB.
Moving on to 2022, this was once again a very promising year for Boldy James. He released the amazing album Fair Exchange No Robbery in September 2022, which was executively produced by Nicholas Craven and featured hits like Designer Drugs with clever wordplay like Big City, Small China, Started as Small Timers, Scared to Dwell on My Past, I Got Alzheimer's. In addition, we have Mr. 1008, which was executively produced by Future Wave and dropped in November, as well as Be That As It May, executively produced by Kans from December 2022. What we can witness on the previously mentioned albums is that James always picks one producer per album to perfectly craft the musical vision so that his personal narratives on the project can carry maximum impact. Due to his cinematic street narratives, it's almost like watching a crime movie like American Gangster or La Haine, and next to that, Boldy references real people, real events and real places, so his lyrics are kinda like an urban noir documentary. Unfortunately, a life-changing incident took place in late 2022 when Boldy James nearly died in a two-car accident that left him with a broken neck. Yet miraculously he was able to make a full recovery due to extensive surgeries, and Boldy instantly was back on his rapping grind. Since his accident, Boldy James already has released 11 entire albums, which is an insane work ethic. Especially Penalty of Leadership from January 2024 processes this traumatic incident. The cover depicts Boldy's accident spot on, and it's an impressive record considering that James was paralyzed during that time. He couldn't move most of his body, so he wasn't able to write and his voice was weak, but he didn't give up and came back stronger than ever after making a full recovery. Other important projects from that period include Prisoner of Circumstance from June 2023 and Indiana Jones from January 2023. And as more recent highlights, I want to mention Across the Tracks from June 2024, which was executively produced by Conductor Williams. Boldy and Conductor are a great duo as well in my opinion. The intense and gritty beats by Williams fit very well with James's cold lyrics, like on Off-White Lumberjack, which opens with To Be or Not to Be, Crime School and I Majored in Philosophy, juxtaposing Shakespearean introspection with Detroit street hustle. Next to that we have Token of Appreciation from February 2025, which was executively produced by Chuck Strangers and features in my opinion one of Boldy's coldest tracks ever, B.O.B.
Standing on big old business, chopper came with a kickstand and some tig old bitties, what else?
I of course cannot talk about every recent release because James already dropped 7 entire projects in 2025, and some fans do complain about his rapid fire release approach and claim this will lead to fast oversaturation. But in my opinion 30 minutes of music each month is not that extreme as long as the quality can keep up, and for now it sure does. Next to that, Boldy's flooding the market release strategy is born from his hustler's mentality. It just fits his character and that's what he always stood for. What a lot of fans, me included, witnessed as well is that Boldy completely reshaped the soundscape in the 2020s, and especially after the accident he had an artistic rebirth. Before that he'd often rap over generic trap instrumentals and his music didn't grab a lot of attention outside of Detroit, but nowadays he completely embraces the abstract hip hop lane and is creating buzz internationally. I think that being around the Griselda team really helped Boldy in his career rebirth, especially for his beat selection. Nowadays you can listen to him rap over abstract boom bap or drumless jazz instrumentals, which rappers like Westside Gunn perfectionated, and you can find Boldy James featured on a lot of Griselda projects. Boldy's lyrics though are always very serious, surgical and dark, since Boldy James uses his songs to process the harsh and dangerous life on the streets of the decaying city of Detroit. Therefore Boldy can be viewed as a poet shaped by his dark and gritty environment, and his writing is authentic and rational, at times almost nihilistic. James kind of raps like Albert Camus writes. For those of you who have read works like The Stranger, this will make sense in the way that both have this very surgical approach to lyricism. Next to that, James describes himself in his music as a con creature, an entity that grew up in a violent and cold concrete world, and that dark environment raised him up to become a monster himself, but a very self-conscious monster at least. That's because Boldy always has been a writer who showed his listeners the two sides of the medal. Yes, he regularly talks about the drug trade, gang life and murders, but he also raps about the psychological consequences this life had on himself and even on his mother. Boldy James as a concrete monster is both hunter as well as the haunted, because he's trapped in the concrete jungle where only the fittest survive and even they have a lot of battle scars. Boldy's delivery mirrors the numbness and trauma of his subject matter, which includes crime, grief, addiction and survival. So that's why his lyrics can seem too harsh or cold-hearted, but in my opinion his style of rapping is a welcome variety to the usual braggadocio that other gangster rappers use. Still, it's almost chilling how casually James drops his ominous lyrics with his deadpan attitude and nonchalant delivery, but this can also be viewed as a survival technique. If Boldy poured his heart out on every song, it would be emotionally overwhelming for both listeners and himself, considering the violent but authentic nature of his universe. Therefore, it seems that his main goal as an artist is to raise the bar for hip-hop as a whole and to paint this violent and disturbing yet authentic and immersive painting of Detroit. And I believe that also helps Boldy James to process his concrete traumas and experiences through his music. But what cannot be denied is that James has been on a historic run in the 2020s. His new albums present a reflective approach to the street life. Boldy James has more wisdom nowadays and uses his timeless records to revisit and process his past life of crime, which is a refreshing technique in comparison to the other rappers who rap about the crimes they're currently committing and what luxurious lifestyle they achieve thanks to it. Boldy James on the other hand doesn't distract himself with a newfound abundance. He will gladly show you his criminal universe, but he does it in such a realistic way that you don't even want to be like him. So his raps have way more impact and cut way deeper than the usual braggadocio stories. His storytelling is very vivid, and next to his beat selection, that has to be my favorite characteristic of Boldy's craftsmanship. And the fact that James can drop this magnitude of albums in such a short amount of time and have each record feel like a unique piece of work with its own sound and story is absolutely insane and proves Boldy's musical genius. Both the quantity and the quality are satisfied in his discography, and his ability to rap over all these different styles of instrumentals, as well as his authentic but precise storytelling, make him one of the most talented rappers of the contemporary rap scene. I for sure am very hyped for Boldy's next moves in the industry. Apparently there's a collaborative album with J Dilla instrumentals rumored to be called Drug Dilla on the way, so if that releases it's gonna be amazing, and for the meantime definitely check out Boldy James's records if you haven't yet. Yes, that's gonna take some time, but it's worth it, trust me. With that being said, thank you so much for watching this video till the end, leave a like if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can hit 2000 subscribers before the end of the year. Cheers!